Hi guys, welcome to Reality with T. Today I'm going to review the Braxton's family values. And to be honest, this isn't going to be long at all because there wasn't much going on this episode. Not that I want to see a whole lot of fighting and cat fighting and all that kind of stuff, but it was kind of bland. So either way, we start out with Tony talking about how she's been reaching out to Traci. I guess they haven't talked since the wedding, and that was about 7 or 8 months ago because it was the wedding, then they were in quarantine, and Traci was taking her distance away from her time away from her sisters because she needed some time. So she says, "I've been reaching out to Traci, and there's been no response." So then you see eventually that they have a video call with each other, basically like a check-in. Tony and Michael do a video call. Everybody, they're just like filming a lot of video calls between everybody checking in with each other, catching up a little bit on the drama, but it's like whatever. You see Traci talking about her son, how her husband is out there working as a first responder and the son is delivering packages. Now, I'm not here to knock anybody's hustle. I like that he is out there working for himself and doing what he has to do, and we all need our packages. But I'm just kind of wondering why, with all the resources that this family has, why have they not set up their kids to be doing more? I'm just confused sometimes about their kids. They do seem, and I think Funky Dineva, this other YouTube blogger that I follow, or vlogger, he has talked about these kids in the past, like between Trina's kids and Traci's kid, just kind of seeming so odd, just kind of like they are so, why haven't they embraced all of their resources, embraced the Braxton side of their family? It's almost as if they are so other. They were raised in communities outside of, and it just seems like they're just so far off, or just not aligning with their African American side of the family, not aligning with the resources in their family. Even if they didn't want to go into entertainment, that's fine. But you would think that they would set them up to go off to college and to get jobs where they're actually bringing in a good amount of money. It just feels like, to be a Braxton, why is he delivering packages? You know what I mean? I don't know. Tell me what you guys think about that. But we see Shawn and Towanda a lot this episode. And I think the same thing about Shawn that I do about David. But David wasn't already in the entertainment business. Shawn, I believe he's a producer, like the Traci and Shawn, they're brothers or whatever like that. They produce. I do feel like now he wants to be famous. And I think that that's why he's using Towanda. That's why he's on the show, because to me, he's a little too made for TV. All his little catchy jokes and his whole confident demeanor, it just gives me made for TV, and I'm not into him. I do think I agree with Traci. There's something shady about him. He got a little too comfortable too fast, and I feel like he needs to slow his roll. So, Tawanda's talking about, they talk about having babies. She would have a child with him. He's a great dad to the kids. And again, this is too soon. The same way with Tamar. Why are we calling boyfriends dads to your kids? It's way too soon. They both have their own dads. I don't know why. At some point, Traci said her and Andre, her ex-husband, are not in contact. It's interesting. I don't know if he's not in the kids' lives for some reason, because how did he go from being a stay-at-home dad to not having any contact with the kids? I don't understand that. Maybe there's contact with the kids and not with her. I don't know. But I think it's way too soon for Shawn to be talking about he's a father to these kids. And again, he's still a boyfriend. I just don't buy it. So then they talk about, Towanda is going to go check on her dad, who has been quarantining in Maryland. And she says, she calls Traci and says, I'm going to stop by and check on you. And Traci in the beginning is hesitant. And so she goes with the COVID as a result. As an excuse. I don't know if I want people over here because of COVID. And Tawanda's like, I've been tested. I'm in quarantine and the whole thing. I want to come check on you. And remember, they haven't talked in months. And so, she's unsure. And Traci says, I want to make sure that my boundaries are met. Once they start the whole coming over thing and telling me you coming over, I want to make sure that I'm going to be treated equally moving forward. So I guess she's been working with her therapist during this time. She says it's been very, very helpful. And now she is going to try to stick to her boundaries. And I want to be treated the same way as everybody else. And I agree. I'm glad. I think it's time. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what age it comes at. As long as you came to the point where you say, listen, I want my boundaries respected. expected, then that's what they're going to have to do as long as you stick to them. So I like that she's finally standing up for herself in that way. And as she said, her therapist told her not to react to everything in her overly emotional, aggressive way, but to respond appropriately. And I guess she gave her some coping strategies on how to express herself without becoming aggressive. So and I think that she's picking that up. So then you see mom left Trina and Vaughn's house. She went home. She was with them for about 4 months. And, Vaughn is still talking about Trina's mom's cooking. He misses it because Trina can't cook like she can. And, then Caleb comes in. That's one of Trina's sons. He comes in. I guess he moved back in. And, Vaughn is talking about him moving out. It's interesting because they do have, they're very serious, both of them. They're both kind of stoic, but they do have somewhat of a playful relationship with each other. So they kind of go back and forth and they kind of, poke at each other a little bit, but it's still playful, but they're so serious. So it's hard to tell sometimes. So, he talks about him moving out and, he kind of says, you're weird to Caleb. And again, their kids are kind of, treated, because I don't know. I know Tony's child has Asperger's, I believe, or she says he was cured from autism or whatever that is. We know that there's no cure for that, but all of their kids just seem a little out of the norm. So it's just very interesting. So then you have Tony talking about how she's been quarantining. She wants all her sisters to come see her because she is too afraid to travel because of her autoimmune difficulties with lupus. So she would like all her sisters to quarantine and come see her. Now, then we go back to Traci, to Towanda and Shawn. And Shawn is talking about, I guess Towanda has her ex-husband Andre's name tattooed on her wrist. And they brought up the topic of engagements. I believe they talked about getting married, and he's kind of like, get that tattoo off of you, then we'll talk about it. Get that tattoo off. And it was just like, I don't know, the way he talked to her, and I haven't seen any of their lives on IG, but I hear that he can be kind of chauvinistic, kind of disrespectful. And the way he said it kind of like got under my skin, because it's like, you're telling me what to do with my body. And it was kind of manipulative. Like, you're telling me, unless I take this off, you won't marry me. Like, why are you trying to manipulate me? I don't know. And something about Shawn, Towanda seems overly elated, overly into him. He seems a little bit, I don't know, a little bit controlling, a little bit abrupt. I don't know what it is. I can't get a word for it, but if you guys know what I mean and you agree, let me know in the comments. That was about it. Wasn't much going on this episode. We'll see what happens next episode. Either way, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. See you next week. Reality with T.